Okay, we are live.
Okay, we're live. Okay.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order for the joint annual meeting, December 27, 2023. The time is 4:44 p.m. and we're conducting it here at the Crown Plaza room within the name of the hotel?
Crown Plaza.
Crown Plaza Hotel in Tumon. Sorry. So I will do a roll call for the Southern District. Erica, you want to do that? Or, I'm sorry. Yvonne, sorry.
Chairman Michael Ogden,
Present.
Director Martha Tremorio,
Present.
Director Yvonne Juaneza, present, Director Glenn Tupai,
Is Yvonne?
Present.
Yes.
Okay. Can you go?
Director Glenn Dula,
Is he there?
Director Glenn Dula.
I'm here, present.
Thank you.
and then now we have staff. Administrator Erica Pangolinan, present. And program support specialist Rita Barcina, present. We
So-
do have a forum.
Okay, so we do have our forum on the Southern.
Okay, on the northern side, did anyone call
Chairman for the Northern Guam Soil and Water Conservation Board, Chairman Joseph C. Santos,
present?
Treasurer Secretary Katrina Regis, absent, Director Marlene Vivo, present, Director Tom Tanaka.
Tom? Tom? Okay, we have a forum of the Northern Guam Soil Water Conservation District.
And staff,
So-
Jenilyn
I mean,
Abenones.
staff, then,
It's okay.
Abulalis is present. And we do have a forum, so we're good to go. We'll go right into new business. You want to talk about it?
For the record, I will.
Yeah, for the record, we'll have, Erica be the one to facilitate the subject matters, if that's okay with you, Chair,
Yeah.
okay?
Alrighty. So for the new business, we will be presenting on the Guam SWCD Long Range Plan, which was developed back in 2021. And this is a 5-year five-year long range plan that maps out the goals and objectives and deliverables to address Guam's top priority resource concerns. And this plan was developed through a grant initiative received through the USDA NRCS. And the input of the long range plan was provided by the local working group. So what I will be presenting on today is basically the different priority areas that were determined and detailed in the long range plan. And for each priority area, we will be going through the goals, objectives, and deliverables. Now, the reason why we are going through this plan is because we, as the district boards are trying to determine our program activities for the next year, for the FY 2024 and 2025, and also develop our budget that is due in January, February. Okay, so this is a pretty lengthy, presentation. I wish that we had some printouts for you all, but we will definitely provide that in your USBs for you to review. Now, what I would recommend for each of the directors is, as we are going through the long range plan, jotting down some of your ideas of some projects or activities that you'd like to see from the district, either within your own district or collaboratively. And then also maybe noting the projects and activities that you yourself would like to lead and kind of take ownership of. So as I go through the priority areas, we'll be looking at some of the deliverables that the long range has mapped out. And we can use that as well as some of our, to guide our projects and efforts.
So one of the things we wanna do is make sure that both districts make sure they adopt the long range plan that's there and provided us, because it's gonna be our guide towards what we're gonna do. And within there, because it deals with the local working group, primary resource groups, or we wanna be able to put projects in there that the district can, we can request for funding for.
Yes.
So,
Okay, so, we will have an activity after to kind of go through, and we will have like a round table from each of the directors and the staff on some of the projects that they would like to see or feel we should prioritize. All right, so moving on to the next slide, resource concern number 1 is soil quality limitations, and we did post a local working group earlier this year in which it was determined that soil quality is still the top resource concern. Soil quality refers to the soil's ability to carry out its function. This includes the ability to hold necessary water and nutrients for plant production. So within the soil quality limitation priority area, we have outlined 3 goals. So the first goal is to build the capacity to do monitoring and testing of soils in Guam and identify human or natural threats to soil quality loss and degradation. We have identified 3 objectives. The first objective is to help improve yielding soil lab capacity, outreach program, and increase agriculture viability. We've outlined the deliverables in the next 5 years in which we plan to launch a soil health program, develop an incentive plan for farmers to conduct soil tests with UOG, and have in workshops assessments for farmers of their current use of soil monitoring testing, and also post workshop assessment of behavior change. So happy to report that with the guidance from Director Glenn Takai, and also Rita was a part of this in the South and the Interlochen Harris office, we did start the launch of a soil health program, and where we conducted a workshop and offered free soil tests for farmers. So we are moving on that goal. Moving on, objective 2, mitigate soil loss and degradation through robust conservation plans. For the deliverables, we're looking at targeting ag producers in areas of highly erodible lands for sloping and like what Director Martin was bringing up earlier. For conservation management, practice training, and then to increase number of conservation plans with ag producers on sloping lands, adopting recommended practices, and facilitating implementation of plans by promoting CNSP and other government conservation programs. I will say that there is a joint chiefs program that NRCS is running with the assistance of the districts and the Guam Department of Agriculture, in which would potentially feed into this objective and accomplishing those deliverables. So objective 3, mitigate low soil organic matter and water holding capacity in northern soils of Guam. So what a great objective for our northern folks. That the deliverables include targeting ag producers in areas of low soil organic matter, conservation management or practices training, in part possible partnership with CLCC. Next slide. So still on soil quality limitations, goal 2 is to educate land users about the importance of soil testing to understand soil conditions, soil conservation practices, and practice of sustainability, increasing soil quality, along with ways to prevent soil loss and degradation. So our main objective is to build awareness of effects of soil quality and soil erosion, building soil organic matter, and promoting active soil management practices. And really, we'd like to focus on the deliverable of developing materials and conducting workshops. Pursue grants for participant data systems. Okay, goal 3, improve soil fertility and stewardship through the use of local resources. This is a fun one. So first objective is to increase soil fertility through the use of locally available organic resources. Green waste is an underutilized resource that can be used by ag producers. So the deliverables include provide input into drafting Guam Green Waste Management Plan by Guam SWCD to ensure the plan includes measures to distribute green waste products to ag producers. I believe that we've been actively trying to pursue this through the Guam Invasive Species Council, as there is a green waste management subcommittee established. We like to support
I just wanted to say there's already a plan that exists.
by EPA.
It's by EPA, it's already approved. In terms of it, we just need to modify to make sure that we're able to use the soil that's on Guam
Okay.
for agricultural purposes. And then use it rightly. After Typhoon Moore, they combine all the different soils or different materials, which really, it made it contaminated the actual soil, I mean, the actual green waste that they were trying to do. They were mixing in different types of waste, green waste, and they contaminated, that was contaminated. So when they did a test of the actual product that they produced, it wasn't good for farming or agriculture purposes, because it had, well, I don't know what they did. We need to find out what they did with it, but it can't be used for any use anymore. And that's what we need to come up with in terms of.
Not a tea.
Yeah, they took it and put it,
It's kind of like that swimming pool, they used to have a lot there.
they restricted it. We need to find out. EPA is in charge of it, Glenn St. Nicholas. And so we need to find out where it went to, because that's a contaminant and
They usually ship it off.
I don't know, but we need to take the Guam Green Waste Management Plan and actually execute that plan. So if you go to the EPA website, it's on there.
So that, that goes in with supporting development of a Guam Green Waste Management Plan so that organic matter is returned to the soil, and provide education to ag producers on how to acquire Guam Green Waste resources for their agriculture. Yeah, so as you mentioned, Typhoon Mawar, right, that was, as I was reading this, I'm like, hey, this is kind of in place, and maybe just moving that. but
Right. So
Getting back to that document.
yeah, we just have to go back to that document and further, make sure they don't do that same thing that they did with Moore. Because it's really sad, we lost out on a lot of waste that could go to, a lot of those green waste or green management plan that could have gone to the farmers and helped them develop their soils.
Okay, objective 2, secure funding for education and utilization for green waste management, identify potential and existing high-risk areas of vulnerability requiring remediation. So deliverables include secure capacity building resources to develop conservation plans, conduct conservation planning outreach and training, develop conservation plans, and follow up on conservation plan implementation and evaluation.
Well, anyways, this is where we can help develop staff
Yes.
that can do this action, because it isn't us that needs to do it, it's the staff. Or somebody else that needs to be there, that we need to develop to help in these, the development of these conservation plans.
Right, resource concern number 2, long-term protection of land. The idea of long-term land protection includes efforts to protect Guam's ag lands, natural resources, and habitats, ensuring development does not encroach on ag lands and has appropriate green space. Goal 1, we'd like to update and promote Guam's ag and natural resource protection policies with NRCS through local working groups. Objective 1, engage with local and federal partners annually to advise on priorities that match the district's vision and mission and reflects current stakeholder input. Our deliverables meet with ag producers and natural resource stakeholders to prioritize research concerns, collect data from ag producers and natural resource managers in Guam for federal program recommendations, and promote and monitor federal program applications and implementation of EQIP and CSP. I will say that currently the Southern District it has a REPI grant in which will help accomplish this specific goal and the objective. Objective,
Yeah, I wanted to bring up, there's, the Southern Director brought that up about the critical habitat, plan.
habitat conservation.
Yeah, which actually is in line with this because it's a requirement by law under Fish and Wildlife and US EPA. And so if Guam doesn't do this, which is in line with this objective, we're gonna have a problem because one of the things that the military is exempted from it, DOD is exempted, so the private landowners, the government of Guam is not exempted. So we have to come up with we have to agree to the plan and we make sure the plan is passed into law. Because if it isn't, then the US EPA and US Fish and Wildlife can come in and just control development, how the development's gonna be processed liberally.
Objective 2, support program priority changes with current Guam producer needs, issues, and related data. Identify producer desired natural resource priorities and provide input to balance these desires with quantitative environmental based resource concerns. Develop surveys, identify and review participants, and conduct federal program participants behavior survey, evaluate and report survey results. So the REPI grant that we will be launching.
Are you able to stay on? Then we'll wait, hold on. Can we, can we, like, for instance, one of the goals that we need to do is adopt, is vote on the actual, resource concerns or the goals objectives, on the actual agenda. If you look at the agenda right here, adopting the recommendations of that, can we vote on those and then go to it, separately? When we don't, because we're not gonna get it if Tom gets out, so if we can vote on the Guam SWCD long range plan, voting on it, and then going to that during after the meeting when there's no quorum, and then I recommend that in FY 2025 the budget proposal, that because we have to submit that in by February, that the North and the South gather to an individual and they come up with a budget proposal and submit it to the districts for their either January or February for their approvals, so that can submit it.
Okay.
And then,
I don't think that's right, man. We haven't even gone through the budget or something, and we're gonna vote on it.
no, I'm not saying we approve the budget. I'm saying that the recommendation is not to, because the budget is actually blank. What I'm saying is that we refer it to a committee, and the committee comes up, both the North and the South come up on January and February and vote on it, because each board member has to provide each district has to provide whatever their
Okay.
budget is.
But what about the Guam long range?
No, on the Guam long range plans, we approve the plan. And then go into the primary resource concern in the discussion portion of it, but we vote to approve it, then we go according to, because this plan is already done, actually since 2022. But it hasn't been voted on to approve the plan.
Yeah, but aren't we good? We're not voting to combine, are we?
No, we're not voting to combine, we're voting to look at the recommendations of the
No, I
district.
mean, Northern and Southern are not voting together. You guys will vote on your side.
Right, we'll vote on our side, but on the joint meeting that we'll go back and look at those primary resource concerns and see, okay, this is a recommendation that we wanna go to, and these are our projects that we'll do, because in the end, like it's this, like the Northern do something with dealing with soil. And so we want to be able to do that there, but we don't have a quorum. If Tom goes out, then we're not gonna have a quorum in terms of like voting for the joint plan.
But this is the first time when we're discussing the GD, and if we vote for the discussion, it will.
Am I hearing maybe? Having.
What do you guys recommend in terms of this, because there's 4 items really that we need to look at in terms of either approving or acting on.
And how much time do we have?
Tom, how much time do you have? Tom?
You know, I don't have much time, that's why, but I wanted to make sure you guys have four, please, I don't know if I'm a speaker now, but just, please let them know I'm off island, so, if I was on island, no issue, but I'm off island, so it's a little bit difficult for me to hang on and stuff, I gotta take care of it.
I don't know.
Hello?
Yeah, Tom, and you're on speaker, and so you're on speaker. And so we're looking at that. Okay, if you look at what's gonna be proposed in the budget, there's nothing on it, it's blank actually. The issue that we're trying to do is what are we gonna do collectively together as the district in terms of the budget, so that we're in line with that, so when it goes to the legislature, we can agree that these are joint projects that we're gonna work on together or collectively.
I'm not arguing about that, we all understand that. I'm just, you want us to change our meeting, the agenda.
I'm not saying to change the agenda on
You are when you want us to just jump ahead and.
A, B, and D, we have to vote on.
Do we have to though? I just honestly, this is more of a working session. It's really because.
If it was working session, we don't have to, we announced it that we're having
But
a
we
joint
still
meeting.
it's still a meeting, but we can't really have any official actions. We can disagree on things and discuss, then go back to your board and talk about, hey, this is what was discussed, what do we think? Do we wanna approve this and then work collectively?
Because this is the first time we're discussing this matter as a joint board, right? So I think we can discuss and then, we can go back and cover it and then we can approve on our side. That is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Also based on when we went to the Pacific Region NACD meeting, right? When we met with the Pacific and we had like the plan, right? We kind of postponed it for us to kind of figure out what we would want to put in it as well as a group. And then decide on it on another Pacific Region Zoom meeting that we had last time. That's what NACD did. Just as an example, like we discussed it.
That
And then-
for the Pacific region, yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting here.
Yeah.
We could do
discussed
the
it,
same.
But we're not gonna come to any.
We can make any actions right now, yeah. Yeah.
So we're not gonna vote on anything then Tom, who's off island, can go to his daily business or whatever business is dealing.
Yeah.
And then we can decide later on to do it.
Mhm.
One of the things I thought we were gonna do today was one is vote, are we gonna still proceed with that, local working groups, primary resource concern and vote on that, approve that, so we can move forward with that, or are we gonna wait until?
Well, me at the southern, I'm not gonna tell you guys how to handle your warranty, but I just don't want us, we just went through the whole training. And we talked a lot about all these issues, and here we are discussing how to manipulate it, basically, what we're doing.
So the long-range plan is, again, that it was discussion, it was developed by the local people as well. I mean, we're just looking at the long-range plan to see where as a district, we're gonna commit resources and take the lead on whatever project. Okay, or that's
But
what
I-
2024.
But if we are going to vote, I think we can, fast track to D, because that requires all of us, right? And
Right.
the one representative. D, we can do this for certain. But the long range plan, I think that requires more discussion for both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is the first
This is
one.
the first time we're seeing this.
Yeah,
We can do the D, yeah, I recommend the D.
Okay,
On the, and I
all right, guys,
think.
thank you very much.
okay then.
Also, Dr. Glenn Dula will be switching out to his phone because he's gonna head out. And he said we should look at this longer before we decide on this.
So,
So shall we continue on with the program?
Let's get it. Resource concern number 2.
which one do you want?
I think we are on long-term intersection of land. Goal
Did
2.
you try to call the rest of the Katrina? Try to get her on,
Yes.
is that answering?
It's not us.
I'm not trying to do hard for you guys. But we just talked about all of that.
Okay. Alright, to provide input on legislation.
On our discussion, go through what we did, but I think Joe, I don't know about the voting here.
Well, we can't, anyways, the norm, we can't vote in terms of the joint thing because the south, I mean, the norm doesn't have any, I mean, does not form. So we can't.
So like Aaron said, this is more or less a work session.
I know, but this shouldn't be a work session because that's why it's a joint meeting. And it's to discuss, one is our budget, the other is our,
Yes, yes,
is what is our goals that we're gonna build collectively together.
yes.
Director Glenn Sakai said, we also may need to incorporate most recent, local working group because priority concerns has changed that was held last year at the Island Sustainability Conference before any voting.
Resource concerns that were brought up. Like resource, like funding staff. Part of some of the.
Yeah.
issues.
So, yeah.
So that might mean more, that again would have to go through our collective. Because we're the soil water district, but we're not the like what these groups. So we still have to present.
Package.
But for the sake of determining what are our activities this year and what are we going to be prioritizing for FY 2025? This is the last approved document that was presented to the body.
So, so this is already approved then?
Yes, that was approved for the prior.
Yeah, but our problem is that we don't have the record of it being approved on the northern board and in our minutes that we have. Doesn't reflect anything being approved for this.
Your board will have to then take this
Yeah.
document and accept it, but there was a committee that comprised of both the northern district and the southern.
Yeah, it was produced by both, but.
I'm just saying that there's no record of the north adopting this plan.
Much like, legislature doesn't have that you were used to.
Yeah.
So you guys gotta make it happen.
No, I remember because this grant was, I was still on the board. And I remember, that, the rest of Katrina wasn't one participating. And then, before I stepped down on that first board, the last thing that I remembered was that after everything is compiled, then it was going to be presented. That's why I said earlier, this is the first time I'm looking at this. You did a great job, by the way, but for me to vote on something, if this was already approved, as long as we can find a record that it was in fact approved, in our records, then I'm okay, we can build on this one. But if this is the first time and, in the third one, before I vote, I would like to know more.
Right.
But it looks like it's a fully developed. So it's a great plan. We
So
can
you
just
guys
work
have
on
to
it.
look
Yeah.
through it yourself with
Yes.
your board,
Yes.
so.
And it's a living document.
No, we had that input because Joe, I was going through the emails before. I saw some record. I see that, yeah,
I know, but there's no record of it
Yeah.
being adopted, yes.
being adopted by the northern board.
Yeah.
And so even though the plan is there, it's not. approved.
Yeah.
By
You guys are gonna have to do that.
So
In
we have
terms of
to
minutes.
talk about this one, and so we need to go over some.
Well, Glenn brought it up that there's some other concerns that they had within there, and that's where,
Also part of the public.
yeah,
So,
And it was
so
not
that now
like-
you need to also look at it.
Oh.
We need to adopt that also, right? Or something.
well, it needs to be integrated into
The plan.
the
like,
plan,
Yeah.
which, that's what Glenn is bringing up, is that.
To be
it has to
updated.
be Integrated into the current
Okay.
plan that is here, and by the way, when I got a copy of that plan from Erica, I actually sent it out to the board. For you guys to review, the plan, and I don't think any of you guys ever reviewed it. So that's an issue.
Yeah, but it's always good for them to, you guys to discuss.
Yeah. So you did send that out because we had.
Yeah,
Prior to this one, okay, so I apologize.
so, I mean, you guys want to proceed on with
Yeah.
the resource concerns that we're going through,
Everybody will be
yeah.
very.
Okay.
Rita she was able to compile the last local working group, which does have, updated, so. You know, it's something we need to include.
If we can take a copy of that minutes and look at it, and then, I don't know if the Sam wants to inform the committee. Again,
Yeah,
to,
we should.
so we can work through the Sam to look at those minutes and see relative to this strategic plan, and see if we can integrate it, yes?
Maybe a good suggestion would, to revisit the topic at the next partner meeting, which is January 10th.
So what meeting?
Partner meeting.
What part?
Yeah, not the, it's a partner meeting with the partners.
Oh, well, we're a partner with.
No. I think those are line agencies that are. Yeah, they're line. Yeah, so.
And we'll definitely, we'll discuss more with the board and to see how we want to, let's go about this.
So you guys wanna go straight, still go to this?
Yeah,
here,
let's just go
And
with
then
this.
integrate, look at it and then look at the minutes of the local working group. Because that actually is supposed to go to NRCS. That actually sets the tone for how NRCS is gonna fund us.
And this is the last document that Jay received, in which he also had to sign off on. Or for on his side,
Right.
for NRC's side.
Okay.
So this is what we're going with.
I also sent this to the Sentinel program. Patrick Keeler,
Patrick, oh yeah, Patrick should have this already.
yes.
Thank you, Jen.
What?
Okay, so goal 2, objective 1, systematic engagement with policymakers on recommended and proposed policies that impact agriculture, food security, and natural resources to ensure they reflect the district's vision and mission. Goal 2 is to provide input on the policy affecting Guam ag, natural resources. So our deliverables are to meet with natural resource stakeholders to review and identify policy needs in order to make relevant recommendations, draft and submit or edit ag, food security, and natural resource policy recommendations with built-in implementation guidelines and enforcement components to legislators and policymakers, and monitor through mandated partner reports implementation and enforcement of legislation and policy recommendations. So this is what you were talking about, Joe, the legislatures.
Right, and so we just need a policy committee that will, from both the north and the south, to come up with recommendations as to what we want to focus on.
This one is very much something we need to fix.
Where you need to fix. Especially when it's not being, the laws are not being executed, or they're not doing it because of lack of funding.
But also just make some corrections or adjustments to,
The laws.
yeah. And even stuff like invasive species funding, stuff like that.
Correct. Yeah. Well, actually, we need to correct that because they're supposed to set up invasive species council, they're supposed to a bank account.
Which we're supposed to be part of that.
Yeah, well, a bank account, but they're not using it, they're using government of Guam, that's how the director can use it at will. Without,
Co-mingling.
yeah, it's co-mingling, and that's not really co-mingle. Okay, got that, let's go to the next one.
All right, resource concern number 3, your favorite, pressure from pests
This,
refers to damage caused by plant, animal, and aquatic species.
You know, I even have deers coming up to my small farm now. I don't know. Yeah. Like, the moment my population is always knocking it down.
They'll actually stand their front leg and use their horn.
Yeah. Then like
So goal 1 is to identify potential pests, their sources of origins, and quantify the impact of the threat and damage that each pest presents to Guam's natural resources. Objective 1, mobilize partner agencies, APHIS and Department of Ag to assess feral swine activity and recommend and develop mitigation plan. Deliverables, ensure feral swine are included in pest surveys and partner agencies. Provide support, direct and seek outside funding in the development of feral swine control and impact mitigation plan with farmers and landowners. Provide outreach assistance to local ag producers in the implementation and evaluation of the Guam feral swine program. Annually review and suggest modifications to the current Guam feral swine program. Objective 2, support stakeholders and partner agencies' missions to manage pests by providing an information link between agencies and stakeholders. Deliverables, recruit ag producers to participate in partner surveys on identified priority pests, such as interviews, survey mapping, through technology, data collection, assist in outreach up to ag producers and landowners on partner developed control and impact mitigation plans. Provide input in the review and modification of current pest control programs. So I know at one point, the North and the South were working together to stand up a localized Guam feral swine program to kind of help with the efforts of the APHIS. We've also are pursuing a grant opportunity available through NACD for perimeter fencing. So that they're all essentially needed to accomplishing this work.
So, I actually, for our foundation, actually, submitted the proposal to our board. It's, yeah, that's to that, so that was for the foundation program, so we've had 2 teams that's been ready to engage. And, we want to service the island, not just the farmers and the members, basically.
Yeah.
So we even had it was a very detailed presentation, you know, the budget and whatnot, so. We just need to forward that to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so one of the things that we were working on, and Teddy was taking the lead on that was, when was it White Buffalo is going to leave their equipment behind, and they don't necessarily want to leave it with the mayor because they feel that the equipment will be disappeared,
We'll go next.
Rolex and disappear, so they want their program to continue on, and then after they're done with the contract that they have here, they want to be able to turn it over, and they were looking at to turn it into the district, actually, but we have to develop a program that allows us to go in and use that, and then engage an entity that will actually be able to use that resource as a part of it, other than using APHIS.
So,
Well, that's what we've been, talking about. Teddy was part of our discussion with the white ball. And hopefully, we can get it going there. That's, you know, one of the biggest thing why we're not necessarily with APHIS, because we want to go in some other direction.
so what I learned from, when I had a conversation with, Charlene. So what she was saying before is that they're not necessarily depredation officers, they're biologists. So they were excited to partner with the veterans, you know, with our foundation because, you know, it's capacity building basically. And what they can provide is they can provide the training on how to depredate. So,
Glenn Takai says, we are currently in training with White Buffalo already.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, and that feeds into, our objectives with tax pressure. Looking at ways to mitigate. For us.
I think it was part of that. But,
Yeah,
No, maybe this is the first time that I'm hearing this detail. That's why I was just, you know, with the DOD revenue grant. So I thought that grant was actually for both the districts. So the decision is, you know, is made by combined. And then, so we've been presenting this for the, that's program in our board. So we had because we have volunteer conservation officers, active duty personnel, but they also want to, participate. So, you know, we wrote all the program, we've been developing that. So when during the Pacific region meeting, when we agreed that we already selected White Buffalo, so I went back to the board and said, I don't remember discussing this in our board that it was already selected. Because my understanding of the REPI grant was that the reason why it was not awarded to GACB, because GACB did not have a nonprofit designation. So it was given to, so for the sake of not losing the funding, it was given to the southern, but it was meant to service the north and the south. So, and it is for Guam, because we also had a meeting with, what's her name, Christine, Thomasgard, that's her last name?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she.
She's the one that runs Rugby.
Yeah, so she told us that, so for us to be, I felt that we didn't have a stake or we were not
oh, okay.
represented, yeah,
I think I understand,
Right.
where the
disconnect.
So Repi, the one that's the south was awarded through NACD, so we didn't lose the funding. That is totally separate from the Repi that's funding White Buffalo. Because that program is managed by Adrian's group, or actually.
Rosedale.
Yes. And the reason why the North was able to get that funding is because there's an area, a conservation area, in which that Department of Ag is purview over. So where the districts are coming in is White Buffalo. Part of White Buffalo's agreement under that grant opportunity is that they have to provide training to the community. So that's where the districts came in and was like, hey, we want to get training. So they're offering training to the districts because that's part of their deliverable through that separate.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with that meeting.
Yeah, no,
But-
I'm asking, but all this information is all, I'm giving it for the first time. So it's not being discussed or
Actually,
disseminated.
this was discussed during the board meeting about, when Teddy brought it up, she actually brought it up about what actions are being occurring with White Buffalo when they're meeting with the mayor. And he mentioned, Glenn Takai being the South's representative for that. And then what according to him, what White Buffalo wanted to do with the equipment resource, and that's what was brought up at the meeting. But our focus for this resource concern is dealing with.
But actually, that's not even guaranteed, right?
No, it's not guaranteed, but the issue is they wanted to know, they're not gonna take it with them. So they wanna leave it with somebody here on Guam, a body in Guam that will do it, and they're already aware of what happens when we give it to the mayor, and so they don't wanna give it to the mayor. They wanna give it to an entity that can have some type of accountability for it. But, you know, the resource concern deals with pest goals and objectives and deliverables. It's the control of pressure from the pests. And on the Invasive Species Council, the plan is old. It hasn't been updated since, I think the plan ended in, I think 2022. That's it. It hasn't been updated since then. And we need to get that plan updated because that's where the resource funding that's being collected out of the Invasive Species Council or the Invasive Species Fund is being collected and not being used for that purpose.
Right.
And so one of the things that we need to make sure we integrate within here is making sure that the Invasive Species Council, the plan
So we've been talking.
is updated.
don't know if Kenny was there or not, but with Barbara. That too, he was all those things up and he was just, he was telling us that, you know, FOIA.
Yeah, FOIA.
Where the funds and all that, and just, you know.
So the director of agriculture might have a tense conversation about that. Because they're misusing the funds to hire
Yeah.
people outside of biosecurity.
Well, I'm not gonna say yes or no, because I don't know.
No, they actually, I have a record, nobody knows, right? So they're hiring people outside of the biosecurity. And so they're not hiring the appropriate employees that need to get biosecurity, get in check or control. But they're not resourced and the funds are being used something else, and that's a problem, but the way the invasive species council can rein in that fund is to control how that funding is done through the plan, through the legislature, because the legislature will say, this is how those monies are going to be used. And actually go in and say, these monies have to be used for these purposes. And but it's right now not being used for that purpose. And so there's an issue point, and then they haven't had a meeting for 2 years. Since 2022, they haven't had a meeting. And we haven't had since, and it's supposed to be a quarterly meeting.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to do the quarterly meeting issue, but they haven't, the one has to call it is either customs and quarantine and agriculture, because they're co-chairs.
Yeah, but we're
But the-
part of a border.
But the lead, okay, customs and quarantine does not wanna, because the lead for it is supposed to be Department of Agriculture.
The last meeting I attended, and this one was at UAG room 104. That was, yeah, that's right, 2 years ago.
So we have to either call a meeting or have a meeting called, and they were supposed to call the meeting, but somebody went off island. And so they didn't have the meeting, even though they scheduled it and they announced it, but they didn't have the meeting because that person decided to go off island with no meeting. And I don't know why the director canceled it. Period, it should have gone on and on, but now there's a biosecurity, what's the representative, and so he's the one that's going in and saying, okay, we're gonna hold the meeting, and I inquired about it as to when is this meeting gonna be up, so he's trying to schedule the meeting to make sure it does occur, but we need to make sure whoever's appointed for the south and the north participated in that meeting. And you know, I spoke to customs and quarantine, they're ready to move. They have recommendations for what needs to be done, but the bottom line is the plan hasn't been updated. And we need to get that plan approved by the legislature and funded on a year-to-year basis. Because the funds are being misused.
So even if they won't participate, can we meet for the quarantine?
No, I mean, we can meet with our, because remember, there are different members of the
Yeah.
council. It's just that we have to get the council to demand a meeting of the members of the meeting to demand, the members of the council to demand the meeting be held. And if the chair's not gonna do that, then the governor needs to get involved. I already brought it up to the governor and lieutenant governor.
The vice chair,
No, it's not a vice chair, it's co-chair.
co-chair.
Right, so it's customs and quarantine, but customs and quarantine will not, they already made it clear. They will not go in and hold the meeting without the agriculture taking the lead on it. This was Ray Paris. Yeah, he just made it clear. I met him because customs and quarantine. What is it? The recruits were getting certified to become customs and quarantine agents, and I met him there, and we were talking about it. I was like, wow. Okay, so he refused to, he refuses to do that because when you read the law, all funding and all things come out of agriculture, not out of them. So the lead for it, the funding, the control of the funding comes out of agriculture. The staffing is out of agriculture, not out of customs and quarantine.
Hopefully their new GIS coordinator can just start doing all that.
Well, that's why I was talking to the ISCO coordinator that he needs to hold the meeting. So what he's trying to do is get his foot wet to see what he needs to do and then hold the meeting. But it's supposed to be quarterly.
Okay.
Discussion.
Really
Okay,
good discussion. So,
well, you're right, that's it, the feral swine is very. Yeah, on our side, we're still trying to put together an actual proposal. That's all.
Because I would think, okay, so, because that was also a concern on our side, who's going to have, have custody of, equipment once they're purchased. Of course, that could be one of the, one of the responsibilities by the volunteers, so, they don't mind doing that. And so, already,
Okay, resource concern number 4, wind and water erosion. When wind erosion occurs, it has the capability to change the shape of land. Wind erosion occurs when soil and other particles are transferred to other locations via the wind. Water erosion occurs when particles are transferred via water. Okay, so goal number 1, assess wind and water erosion in Guam caused by drought, natural climate disasters, fire, and other human activity. Objective 1, develop educational programs for prevention and mitigation of wind and water erosion. Deliverable, conduct targeted educational campaign for land users impacted by wind and water erosion. Objective 2, partner with UOG, Department of Ag, and NRCS to develop local tools to mitigate wind and water erosion. Deliverable, develop tools and practices, adoption of tools and practices. Objective 3, establish needed partnerships with NGOs and local and federal entities on climate change. Deliverable, establish MOUs with partners. We're not able to amend this, right? We're
Yes, we are.
what's it now?
You can see it now.
So, for the assessment and water erosion, I would probably wanna add, because sea level rise is a gradual event. It's kind of like natural climate disaster, but that's like a disaster, but sea level rise is, 10, 15, 50 years from now. So I would wanna add that, sea level rise to, especially in flooding.
But the problem with Guam's rising, because we're on the Philippine subplate, and where we were showing the thing, and actually they did a presentation showing that the island of Guam is actually, Marianas is actually rising as opposed to the other Pacific islands that are not a part of the Philippine subplate. They're part of the Pacific plate that are, they're not rising.
Sea level are lower.
No, that Guam's rising there.
No, because the Philippine plate is going above the Pacific.
Yeah, so we're actually rising
So
on there.
we're not applicable to the NOAA sea level rise.
Yeah, but we're not, that's why they're, when the original NOAA thing that we're doing for water thing, and DSP had that on their stuff to show it, they didn't consider that we're on a subplate of the Philippine, they kept on thinking we're on the Philippine, the Pacific plate. But we're actually we're rising because of what's happening, the subduction occurring with the Pacific plate, which is, abduction is occurring with the
Philippines.
But that's the difference of that and the whole kind of water level.
huh?
Sea level rise.
No, we need to indicate that the.
They don't even know.
Yeah,
Oh, it can still affect.
They'll just be in here.
there's an effect, because what's happening, there's gonna be migration from the outer islands, one which is currently happening. There's in-migration occurring because of, you go down to Yap, some of their islands are disappearing. And they're moving into the northern area of Yap, and then they're migrating directly into Guam. And so
some of
that's,
the islands is disappearing, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
So yes, add sea level.
yes, because the impact to us is we're gonna be the receiver of population shift. And we shouldn't, that's gonna impact us considerably. But yeah, we need to amend this and add some things in, dealing with, we've sea level rise within our region, which is Micronesia, that's impacting Guam, the Marianas is actually rising, not sinking.
Well, Joe, yes, the Marianas are on the, and that is right. But it's not like drastic increases versus what she's talking about, the water level rising, which still can impact. Look at Guam already. You have the road shore side of the entrance. That's more immediate.
Okay, so when Dr. Havana talked about it.
All right.
No, Nathan Habana from Weary. He actually brought it up that the island of Guam is actually rising more than what's projected as the sea level rise. So we're like millimeters above what the sea level rise is gonna be.
So we're
So-
getting more land.
So we're getting more land, but it's gonna be over time that we'll see it, like 50 some years down the line. But it's not gonna reflect, we are not sinking, it's the other Pacific Islanders who are gonna.
Okay, so then I want to buy like half acre of that ocean over there.
Well, you can't buy this.
Well, 50 years from now, I want half acre over there.
Land will be.
Fast land.
Right, Mike?
So maybe that's what, I think, you gave me a website to go to that confirms it, and then when we met with Army Corps of Engineer, actually Michael Trelawney. I don't know if you know him, he works with the Corps of Engineer, and he actually brought it up about the issue of, because they're gonna do something in Nevada. And we were talking about that, and I told him, that's why I was asking you to get a copy, remember, of it from Weary. About where the sea level rise is at, but when we met here, I spoke to him about it, and he gave me the website or where to go to show where. So it shows that the Mariana Islands is actually rising, not sinking.
Well, that's always been,
Yeah, I mean,
that's why you could see that cliff over there, all coral, that coral was underwater.
Which one?
That's how it developed, the two lovers,
Oh,
that was all underwater before it keeps coming up.
yes.
Director Glenn Takai said, we're gonna be on top of Mount Lam Lam next year. We're gonna be on top of Mount Lam Lam next year.
Okay.
Wait, one quick one. I think what would be related to that would be Typhoon Mawar stuff. Because, does not,
Natural climate disasters.
oh, it doesn't fall under wind or water erosion?
Because they're periodic events.
I see.
That they're
Understood.
not normal occurrences. What we're looking at is what constitutes normal
Regular.
occurrences, and how does it impact the land in terms of erosion and both water also.
Okay,
Because we're building impervious surfaces, one of the things that they were looking at, like the one in Malasu, they did an actual Army Corps, they did what is it, a charrette on that online saying that this is what's happening with Malasu, because the government of Guam and the public went in and diverted the normal river flow, which caused that area to flood, and it's causing a massive river down in the bottom. So they were discussing how can they correct that, and one of the major recommendations is to bring it back to what it was.
Straight again.
Yeah, make it where how it was, because the issue is, but guess what's on it? A house. A house is on it.
That's what emanated the weakness.
Yeah, but now, it was diverted by the. Yeah. So anyways, we're.
Okay, goal number 2.
yes.
Okay. Engage in site-specific watershed restoration via conservation and best management practices. Objective 1. Identify watersheds and their resource concerns, Southern District. Okay. Compile all existing info on maps on watershed locations on Guam and where they feed into the ocean as a means of setting priorities. Conduct study on concerns related to each watershed in partnership with NRCS. And we can actually work with Fury to help us.
Okay, so Weary's always done that. They contracted out a group of individuals. You were there at a briefing.
Yes.
They actually identified all the watersheds of where they're coming from. We were actually impressed with what they did, but their definition of a watershed includes aquifer. So it includes the northern area and identifying the subbasins of the aquifer within the northern Guam levels.
Erica,
Mhm.
isn't this? Shoot, I can't remember who remember the project that they were doing with Public Works, and they were identifying these different.
Yeah, I think that was that emergency watershed initiative with NRCS, right?
Yeah, something like that, where they, so isn't that part of this? for the identified.
Well, I don't, maybe Rita knows more, but to my understanding, there wasn't anybody that was selected.
I know NRCS came to my farm also, so they were trying after the cyclone, so they were trying to identify, projects for the emergency, program, but, so I guess the one was selected.
Yeah, so we wait for him.
No, they were looking for different watersheds areas.
Yeah.
Oh, it was,
But they needed sponsors, right? To
they needed like land.
like landowners
yeah.
and government,
Really,
Oh,
yes.
government entity.
So
Would be
FEMA, I know
responsible.
they were doing a lot of stuff like a flood, on different watershed locations.
They were looking at full watershed systems, they were looking at like specific,
Yeah, specific to certain.
not even specific like watersheds, but specific like properties with
Yeah, damage.
okay.
damage from the net.
Yeah, so they came to my farm,
And I think they're still selecting,
No,
they're still going through the process.
you know, one project I would wanna add to this because we used it. Which is used in the review process for development is, so NOAA has what's called the CCAP atlas and it's for watersheds. And so it identifies all the different watersheds, but it hasn't been updated since 2015. And so how that affects different development on Guam is if there's a development in a particular watershed. And we kind of see the impact that has, and how the change from 2015, that would really help a lot of different things. But the last CCAP, NOAA CCAP watershed map was 2015, and so we can have that be updated.
Actually, go,
Weary.
Ruby has it, you go to their website, there is something called the, what is it, hydronet?
But it
Wow.
hasn't been updated.
No, according to Nate, they've already updated some of the information in terms of the watershed, because what information they have, they're putting on their thing, and you can go into Zurich's website,
I think I knew that was.
yeah. So there's hydronet, but they're also going to Uri for their thing, because they actually did they presented it over at I don't know, you weren't there, you just weren't there, no, BSP was. They had the water committee thing, they invited all these people and they briefed on the southern watershed and the northern aquifer. And the issue that they're faced with, this is how we found out about the four centers in which bills, keeping, dividing land into six under, the 6 lots into, on sewer area.
But the developers don't know what water, they think that they're not developed on a water, but all of Guam. And everything is located on.
Well, the problem is what EPA had done is they adopted the northern, what's it,
I'm sorry, but I think we better.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
Time.
okay.
All right. Okay, so establish pilot projects to address research concerns identified, deliverables, identify landowners to collaborate within a pilot project, write proposal funding, implement restoration efforts funded. Objective 3, identify and obtain funding to implement conservation best management practices, assist landowners in securing funding for watershed restoration and protection. Wow, this actually look like NHCD has asked us to amend our refuge grant. And this is to include funding to contract a grant writer and a program developer for a regional conservation partnership program that is to be funded through NHCD. So this could potentially feed into that. This whole initiative is establishing an RCPP to help come up with a different program that would address this specific priority.
You know, EPA, Guam EPA has it's called the 319 funding grant. that actually deals with identifying where their funding that they get, that identifies where anything that's polluting the ocean. And it identifies where the impacts are and do some type of restoration measures. We can do a study, fund for the study that will determine the course of action for that. And the Guam EP is our partner. We can turn around and engage them.
Yeah, what's your name, bro?
Huh?
See,
Aguilar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about it, so she wants to fund some things in the north, specifically at the department, what is it, west of Gatnia Bay or east of Gatnia Bay. She wants to fund some things that identifies where all those waters are coming from.
What about the chocolate business side of the chocolate?
Well, that's remember when you go in for the child, the water goes into the Agana watershed area, which goes out into East Agana Bay. And so the 319 study will determine where those things are coming from, and then what's the best course of action, and so.
Yeah, I know you're from China, probably. Yeah.
So
But actually, in that in Iran, and it's.
So
It's a fact that it's fun.
if you look at what we did, we identified where the river, that the Chavo River goes right into the Agana water area, which goes out into the East Agana Bay.
So can we do that? Because I know.
No, I'm saying that, that under the 319 federal grant, that's part of it, that she wants to execute, but she needs partners in order to help us execute that. And so I was talking to her about doing that with the north, coming in and partnering with.
Okay. Because we have some of our farmers, or who wants to be farmers that can.
Okay, moving on.
Yes.
Okay, last resource concern area, source water depletion. Source water depletion occurs when water is used by people. When water is used by people decreases at a faster rate than it is collected. Okay, so goal number 1, promote the reduction of water depletion through site-based water management best management practices. Objective 1, review site-specific water assessment reports, identify gaps, and determine needed interventions. Deliverables, conduct a review of existing water assessment reports, determine and facilitate the implementation of interventions that address gaps, evaluate interventions that address gaps, and educate farmers on effective water depletion program initiatives, showcasing best practices. Objective 2, develop water use management initiatives that focus on understanding the impact of water depletion issues. Deliverables, implement initiatives, evaluate effectiveness, engage in education.
Very general.
But an example could maybe starting with irrigation,
That's all right.
or water.
Yes.
But are you depleting the supply, right? That's the key there, right?
Actually, we're not getting the supply, we're just not able to focus the supply into something like a retention basin. An example in the south, where we brought this up, is that the reason why they identified where the rivers are coming in that will lead out to the ocean is that those waters are being released into the ocean. They're not being captured to give it to the whoever's within that area. And so they're making a recommendation that that's one of the things they can do.
For south.
But they have to do the study. They already did the study. And by the way, it's by who's the group? I think they're from Yale. That actually did the study in order to complete that. And they presented it over there. Now they're just saying that now how you go and create that, like they created the Ugam Reservoir. But there's other areas like the Yamatic area that where water comes directly out into the ocean. There's no control of that. And so how do you develop that? And who will be the ones to do it? Because it's not really that will do that. It's a recommendation that we done with an organization or an entity that will do that.
Go to dam.
So we had, so Director Katrina and I attended the Acres Conference, during our first tenure. So Dr. Mark, Shepherd he wrote a book on water for your farm, and I still have the book. We gave a book, we gave one to Leo Ag, and we gave one to each of the board members. So basically, they can design, like they can take the water, for example, of Open River, right? Or they can capture where it's coming from, and they can, design a system where the water is captured and is distributed to the farm.
The
So,
irrigation system.
Yeah, it's, really, I mean, it's nice.
But we've already done the initial. Action. of
Research.
Identifying where it's coming from now. We have to come up with how we can capture that. And that's specific to the south. It doesn't work with the north.
Why not?
Because we need to refill the aquifer.
Yeah. Okay, number two.
Okay. Number 2. Conduct a public awareness education campaign on best practices for protecting our pure water resources. Objective 1, develop inventory of available materials on protecting water resources, create an asset map. Conduct education campaign in collaboration with industry and government partners. Objective 2, establish industry and government collaborative partnerships. Deliverables, identify potential partners, secure buy-in, establish partnerships.
So the asset map is already created. All we need to, really is just trying to get funding to provide, an actual hard copy of the map.
Yeah.
It's available, and it's, for him, it's saying it's $35 to produce each map. So every map that we give out is really $35 in terms of value.
Is that in our NGLA?
No, he's talking also about any map that they produce, and one of the things he wants to produce is the area that the Yale students have done in terms of identifying where the water source is at. And develop that, show that map, because that's the south. And then, of course, the north is the NGLA portion of it, but he already has that, and he's only gonna produce some maps with that, and he's supposed to give us like some of it. You know.
So regarding the collaboration with industry and government partners, I recommend that we partner with the Society of American Military Engineers. Only because, a lot, or if not most of the, contractors who are awarded the contract in terms of the PFAS and all of that stuff going into the water system, right? They are members of that. And then that's how actually, I learned, like the GWA wells and that kind of stuff. It's a good, partner to have. As a matter of fact, our president actually, was one of the speakers in the, educator symposium. Right?
Yeah.
Charles, and, they would like to partner. It's awesome, and then it's also a way for us, it's also capacity building because they're, industry professionals. So in terms of anything, and also it's a nonprofit. And they are, we do the Charlie Horn golf tournament every year, and a lot of that money is actually given back to the community through scholarship programs to students who are studying engineering and architecture. Yeah, so it's a good, entity to partner with.
By the way, BSP, isn't this a part of the CCM action?
You mean, a partnership?
No, I'm talking about developing the inventory, public awareness of water resources.
Yes, definitely. We have our, outreach for water.
Because you guys have that lands.
Yeah, Manland and Seas.
Manland
So
and Seas.
there's 2 publications, and one is the Manland and Seas, the other one is the construction bulletin, the contractor. So that's published.
I know that we can, as part of public awareness and education campaign and the CZM program participating and getting that as a partner to the district, us pushing forward relative to this resource concern.
And I'm not really the educational person, it's either.
Yeah.
Who does a lot of the outreach and development, so maybe talk to them and how they benefit.
I have his number if you want it.
Yes. So group activity, I said it, start thinking about some projects that we should be pursuing, or, something that we think that we'd like to lead. This is really good for us to kind of just hear out everybody's thoughts and really possibly pursue this within our budget. So, who wants to go first?
That's what I was telling you, we can use, there's a lot of suggestions that we have.
Yeah. Okay, so and the Zoom people are aware, right?
Yes,
Who's on Zoom?
just, Director Glenn Takai at the moment.
When you wanna, because a lot of the information is, I guess, the group is actually new, we need to go back and say, okay, these are some projects. Maybe we can come back later on.
Should we maybe focus it on something that we can collaborate on?
Well, so just what your thought is on
Yeah.
what.
It's just
So fun.
go down the
Doesn't have
line.
to be what we're all gonna do, what
Yeah,
maybe
it's just-
the North wants, or
You know what, one of the things that grants are getting
or something that
And
bothers
they,
you.
and they see people is the forestry aspect of it. The north doesn't have rivers, really. We do have the Hatania area, but then other than that, that's it, or maybe the Poplar River area. But other than that, that's that. The issue that we have is massive developments occurring in the central northern area. And we're not focusing on the tree development and making sure that we have that there. On Typhoon Walmart, I could see people, even though the tree's still good, guess what they're doing?
Chopping it down.
Just to take out some- because they don't wanna deal with it at all.
Yeah.
And even though it's not damaged, I'm like, well, what are you doing? But they're doing it, so I think one of the things for us in terms of a project dealing with this, for soil development, is actually going out and seeing, like, for instance, that project you talked about. From where the airport's at, actually going in there and taking developing a program that we can develop that area as a park, and then putting that into other parks. I actually have a complete listing of the parks on the island of Guam, specifically for the north area, and we can look at those parks and see how we can develop it. The former forester, chief forestry person was Foggy. I don't know if you know Kenneth Foggy. He used to be the chief forester
Where,
for agriculture. Forest things that, before Joe Maltness.
no.
Yeah. It was Kenneth Foggy. Yeah, so anyways, the trees that he was recommending was monkey paw trees. There were trees out of there, and to me, that we're not using the native species that we need, or the right tree for the right
Monkey
place.
Paw Tree, the last tree you want.
Yeah, exactly, and so if you look at a lot of the schools, guess what they have? Monkey pots, and it's the wrong tree to plant because it doesn't use.
It's not stable.
So what we wanna do is go to, especially focus on the public areas, like the parks and the schools. And develop that in terms of the right tree for the right area, and see what we can do to deal with agriculture. And see if we can do tree planting within the.
So when you mentioned earlier about cutting down the trees after the typhoon, right? So that I did that in my lot because sick and tired of cutting those trees down every typhoon. So I'm removing all those monkey pot, but yes, I will replant others.
What is someone?
The big one.
The big acacia trees, the one you see like those huge trees, they're the,
Coming down to the Ganges,
Oh,
yeah,
especially central part of the island, the soil is very soft
yeah.
too, so it doesn't help.
But in the north, you have the coral
But
there.
it's not,
So the roots go out this way, so when a big wind comes up, it
yeah,
goes down.
but
It's
no,
not
central, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't even go deep, and if those trees
I
don't.
think that happened in a lot of your place.
Exactly.
Take
Go down all the power lines,
take some of my curry tree then.
That's one of the projects that I'm looking
Indian
at.
curry, you know,
how big is that tree?
it's up to you how big you want it, you can cut it down.
Is it called Indian curry tree?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna read,
I have a lot,
I've done so many of those tree plants.
yeah.
Like,
And you can.
Is it a cashew tree?
No, it's actually.
okay, so who's next set?
No,
What was
no,
the- what was the question? What, sorry, maybe it was turned as a.
No, what what product you want.
Oh, this one.
I like your idea of taking the, for the northern. Because what I think I'm going to, shift that both ways. So our foundation is already partners with the Sea Cadets. And then, we just, got the, Guam High School. And then we have the civic capital, so you have adolescents, actually, so we can work with them. Where they could do service at the park, and they can speak something or maybe. So, we're operating a community garden at the night right now. So the Sea Cadets, they're working there, they do their drill there, and then city patrol will come. But by January, I turned my farm into a teaching farm. So, I converted my pig span, the first 5 pigs altogether. One is a steak, an actual steak, and one is the cooking. So the culinary program from Guam High School is going to come and conduct their courses there for the high schools. So, you guys are welcome to see it. It's a small farm, but I'm gonna have everything there, and then we also partnered up with the UOG. We're going to jumpstart the horticulture program. So we're bringing in high school students, working alongside veterans. And then, UOG is gonna be writing a grant for agri-ability for disabled farmers. So all veterans actually are, we're all disabled, but, we wanna open the program up to, the community. So, we're gonna do the trainer concept, Dr. Kwan is the one leading that charge. And the reason why I wanna share the information because I'm a benefactor to the beginner farmer, beginner rancher program. So, Dr. Aries bought they bought the greenhouse. So I want to share that. So we want to do like a joint workshop. So they're already developing some workshops that they can do there. And then I have a research project going on with Dr. Mari on the block peppers. So the growing medium that I'm using is actually raised bed. So I have different designs of raised bed technology that I'm using. And we just completed installing the micro drip irrigation system. And then by this weekend, we're gonna do the whole farm. And then one of the big span, the largest one, we're gonna convert it into an aquaponics. So the idea is we're gonna get the water as we clean the aquaponics. We're gonna take it, and then we have another collection site because it's gray water, and that's what we're gonna be using to water.
So what's the project name that you?
Well, it's up to you guys, what you guys want to call it, because, it's a small farm, but there's a lot of programs going on. So if you want to do the tree planting, we can go that route. If you want to do the horticulture, it depends on you guys, what you would like to do. Because the next one we're gonna be implementing would be on the backside where I have my breadfruit trees.
I know, but how does that project tie into the long range plan or one of the?
Because I have a sloping farm and basically we're looking for measures to slow down the soil erosion because I used to have a huge banana patch. Now that's all down the cliff and it's beyond vertebral grass, reduction. We need to implement something else and what's his name from National Forest Service, Michael Jordan. He introduced another type of, I think it's called Congo. It's a German conservation practice where you take the tree trunks and then you basically put like a grass patch over it. Maybe that's what we use the vertebrate. And then it's basically it's in lieu of the terrace the practice 600. So we use that. So it's just different types of methods.
So that's a project that we can
Yeah.
also do. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark?
Well, definitely the invasive species and the feral swine. My biggest concern about that is just the fact that it's not just with the farmers, it's not just a farm issue. And so many of my friends and relatives, the landowners, it's in the village, it's in the community, everywhere you go. Oh my gosh, you cannot go to someone's house without seeing a pig nowadays just coming out of the jungle that's next to them. And the concern of the safety to the population. And the other one is because we're involved as well with the Farmer Stress Program or grant, and I don't know if that's tied into any of our long-term goals, but I really feel like that's also, I don't know if we wanna add that in there, or where does that fit in, but we talk about helping the farmers, and ever since especially COVID and having gone through that training, you get, that realization that there are so many farmers that are struggling and feeling stressed out financially or not being able to, their farm is not producing. And again, all of that relates to all of the issues that they're having to deal with as far as the soil, the water, the typhoon, everything. And so what else can we do to help them with that stress level, to help be there for them in something that's really concrete, that will make an actual impact and difference to them.
This is how big the pigs are now coming around the neighborhood again,
Yeah, scary.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen them with Mohawk. They're like
Okay,
this
yeah.
big.
yeah,
The invasive species.
Yeah.
section.
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Okay,
Okay.
Rita,
Well, yeah,
come on, Rita.
flooding?
Yeah, flooding.
That's. That's. Okay,
yeah,
gentlemen,
Would you like me to have Director Glenn Takai go first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Director Glenn, would you like to go ahead and share your thoughts? Or any projects you have? Or no?
Oh, hey, share my thoughts on what?
Tonight, I just messaged you like 5 minutes ago about what you need to share.
Oh, hold on, hang on. My bad. My bad. My bad, man. Hold on.
We'll come back,
Um,
we'll come back,
Think about it.
Okay.
we'll come back.
Okay.
I'll go, or you're gonna do.
Well, to add on to what Director Martha was talking about, and what I've discussed with the board already in regards to the farmer stress outreach. I wanted to start doing assessments the first month. According to DOAG, and those assessments can even like reignite our memberships and all the things, because we'd be starting to get in contact with them again. So not only just utilizing that time contacting the farmers and stuff like that, but also getting them, do you want to become a district member again? Yes, so at the same time to kind of, because the deadline is August 31st, right? So that was my idea of how to start that off. DOAG said they wanted to do a needs assessment, but they weren't able to execute it. So I was like, okay, maybe we'll just do it, because that's kind of the minimum requirement of what they wanted to do, but aren't able to do, and which we may have time to do as well, even if it's by phone call. With the list that they have given us already. Other than that, I also discussed with the board the conservation stewardship program, summer program for high schoolers, which we want to try to create with supplemental publications. So that's one of the programs we're trying to do, and that could probably tie into all the things that we're already trying to work on.
so we're applying for a grant. That will do the publication and push that, what he's talking about. It's, I think 400,000 a year.
That's
For 2
max.
years. Max is 2 years, so it's a total of, what is it, 1,200, what is it, 1.2 million?
Mhm.
Right, so 1.2 million for 3 years, and we're focusing on doing some publications. But that's a byproduct of that grant. It's to develop
The conservation stewardship summer program for high schoolers.
and hopefully continues on after the grant program is, grant is already exhausted.
Yeah.
So we're applying for, we attended a grant workshop, and then it's gonna start or open, in February of this next year, and we can actually apply for that. We don't wanna do it separately as the Northern District. We wanna be able to partner, but do it with both the Southern and Northern or the Guam Soil Water Conservation Districts, along with partners on it to make sure we have this be successful. So one of the things tying into what you were saying is that the National Guard issue, it's still active. Meaning we can set up a camp that the National Guard will get involved in terms of providing the personnel to administer the camps or the things as a part of a conservation what do you call it again, camp.
Mhm.
Which may involve tree planting and other things.
Yeah, to
associated.
to be developed.
Okay. Enter.
Yes,
So. My concern too is still, it's invasive species. And of course, feral swine is the biggest, as far as I'm very, very familiar and knowledgeable about the damage that's being done. I've known it for years and years and years. I've seen it, everything. And that's one of the things I'm glad that we're trying to do something else besides just working with APHIS, because I already knew from the get-go that that wasn't impactful as far as what I see, right? Reducing numbers is what I'm. And so I'm glad we're moving in that direction. And hopefully we have fencing, perimeter fencing too, to protect farmland, right? But protecting that farm is not reducing the numbers, right? So the trapping is the other part of that. And I really, really want that thing to get moving. If everything that we were told is true about that, I think that's the way to reduce the numbers. So that's one part of it, but that's not the only thing. You know, a lot of people can drive around the island and say, oh, it's all green and beautiful, but they don't really know what they're looking at. Long time ago, there was this one government official saying something about driving around, and you know, he made comments similar to that. And I told my friend who was, you know, they're part of that, I'm saying, tell the guy to get down and walk in that tree line that you're looking at the view, but it's totally different. It's not native trees or any of those things. It's invasive species that are covering those hillsides, you know. And then even stuff like the fruits that we use, fruits and other things that we used to harvest in the jungles is being wiped out, not to mention coconut trees, right? But even when you talk about dogwood and gaddu and fada, those are all being wiped out by invasive species. I mean, I know really, I grew up since I was little, we used to harvest dog in the wild. We didn't plant it at our farm because we had plenty in our jungle, and the Nika and Gaddu, same thing. But now I'm buying dogs and dog, you know, that's really offensive for me to do that, but I forced myself to do it because that red dog was not around. It's hard.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then not, you know, those trees, they're not trees, they're actually weeds that are growing here. And it's just a tangled mess of weeds. So, you know, those are the things that need to be addressed on the side. When you look at Hawaii, you mentioned Hawaii earlier. You know, they're so protective of their environment, right? When we go through there, it's a hassle for us, right? Hey, what are you carrying there? You have this, you have that, all that's the question, right? But when you drive around, you see all their mango trees and all these other things that are around there. So, you know, we should be like that. Where I never advocate for government control over anything, but we need to protect our environment here. We got to do something. So hopefully we have an impact here in this room.
Yeah.
Bob?
So I guess for me, it's I mean, there's so many projects, right? And we wanna, I think the prioritizing growth line for me is one, like we should have our own program to have these pilots. But I was thinking more strategy with the long range plan and trying to figure out how we can maybe do the fastest or the easiest thing first. And how we're, yes, the low hanging fruit first, and then trying to figure out maybe partnering with other people for the bigger, you know, the harder things. But I was also thinking about the non-farmers and how we can reach out to those people and educate them, because I feel like they're the ones using the insecticides that are responsibly for people, or, you know what I mean? Like, so maybe trying to identify the gaps that we have in our farmer programs, or just the population who are out there, and just putting a lot more educational resources available to them, so by way of video, if they're doing publications, having that play constantly, just to let them know about, okay, this insecticide is preferred to use on soil.
Question.
That I can think about right now. Off the top of my head. There are a lot of people working on it.
That's it's a good thing. By the way, EPA is responsible for the insecticide. You have to take a course from that.
So, yeah, but there's a lot of undocumented people living on Guam who so we had to. Okay, just let me be clear, I'm not here in the capacity of BSP, I'm here in the capacity of myself. But, BSP did go out to different agencies to do damage assessments for businesses. A lot of them didn't want to give their names because either their green card expired or they don't even want to be certified. So I'm thinking if those are for actual businesses, they'll be for farmers, people who are living off of them. So, yeah, so, yeah, exactly. So, a lot of people, even household chemicals, it's not just insecticide, so it's even people who live at home who are disposing of all their items improperly, that affects our soil.
So maybe we can do a video that says, this is it, you put it on YouTube, you put it in Rumble, and you go in and you have that available so that they can actually look at it. I actually go in and look at Guam stuff on both things and see what is happening, and there's hardly any information on that. I think that's one of the things that we can do an outreach, because that's an outreach, and you're going into social media and people actually look at it.
But even in the schools, because, adults, but even in the schools, when they learn early on what's the difference between what's good and what's bad, then as adults, it'll be ingrained in their head. I shouldn't use it. I should use it.
Yeah, that can tie into the DNA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They'll be the ambassadors of conservation.
Correct.
So just to add on to that, the supplemental publications were also going to be children's book that are to lower levels. So they may lead into the high school program and then possibly go into, well, my idea is like possibly go into the UOG CIS type, because we cannot duplicate their own program, right? Based on the law, we can't duplicate their program, but their program is based for adults, right? 18 and above. Ours would be the ones who are from childhood, maybe kindergarten to middle school in regards to publications. And then if they're still interested in conservation, join into the conservation and stewardship program.
But on the publication, it's not just hard print, it's also electronic. And so we can work that out.
VR, I'm just kidding. There's a little. Oh, yes. Glenn, would you like to go next?
Okay, sorry about that. I did read your thing now. Man, honestly, on your question, it says what project do you have in mind that you'd like to take over? I don't want to take over anything, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, I don't mind like just doing the things that I've just been a part of. I think like whenever at least the chair in the South says, "Hey, man, let's do this or do that," and just jump on board, kind of a deal. I mean, I've been really happy working with the team. I mean, everybody has a great input into everything that we do, and just the different projects that we've been doing being a part of. There's a whole lot, especially with the grants that have come down the pipe. It's like I already know we're pretty full with what lies ahead. And so I know just like how we were talking earlier about that long range plan, it's pretty much well developed. I mean, we've all done it actually together with the North, even a couple of years back, at least, when I know it was Laura Soder that was kind of helping moderate that. And then we've had a follow-up local work group that just needs just minor updating. But with that, the thing's pretty much spelled out. And just following through and kind of updating those things and then continuing with those plans forward is like, I guess wherever they tell me, especially, the South, when they say, "Hey man, can you do this or do that?" It's just jumping on board, and I'm happy with doing. Well, I know my alley's more around the plants and stuff like that. Like for example, the last one that we did was the helping with training teachers from another school to build a school garden. I don't know if you guys knew, but years back before I was a teacher, I was actually a 4-H mentor over at the university, and we did gardens all over the island from north all the way to south. I've done it Machanao now. I've done it Dio Perez. I've done it Upi, down to Umatic when the Umatic Elementary was open, Rios, Agata. I mean, we've done all over the island. And then for the past, 18 years I've been teaching, I've been doing the garden at our school. And then now, as Erica reached out or gotten input, there's Talafofa Elementary was interested in wanting to reboost their garden. And so we did that a couple of weeks ago, and their garden looks beautiful. The garden I'm doing I'm sorry I'm not there, by the way, because I was actually down at my school helping one of the other the teacher that's been advising in the 4-H club and building our school garden. That's kind of something that I've enjoyed doing. Also in joint with the RIA grant that Bob Barber and Mark Acosta have given to both the districts. I believe it's $13,000 a year. And so, we've already started one down in around mayor's office, and we're actually waiting to meet in January to continue those workshops. The soil health initiative that we ran also was something I was a part of as well, and that really helps the farmers. It's trying to reach out to just a community. I think when we start, I think Yvonne mentioned it. When you start teaching it at a young level, and then you start teaching the best management practices, that's really what I think is going to fix more of the future. You try to get the people that are really doing stuff now, they're only going to be around for X amount of time left. But when you start teaching the next generation, that's what I believe is going to sustain the island in the future. So having that, being done, and then also the practices that have been being done with the programs we're trying to do, I think is where I enjoy being. That's the part that I don't mind staying a part of and being a part of. So I don't know. I mean, if there's one particular one you guys want me to pick and choose, I guess I will, but I don't have one in mind. I just think all the different things that we're trying to do right now is we're always focused on trying to do conservation and how we can impact. And whenever we do the stuff in the South, it's not like, hey, we're only the South. We always have the North in mind. I think Joe's mentioned a few times, there's no rivers really much in the North, but at least there is the aquifer. And so I know when we think of water conservation in the South, we have to think of different methodologies to protect the surface, right? The surface water, which are the rivers, and then into the lakes that we do have. But in the North, we think of the aquifer. So, I mean, it's collective Guam, but I do know we may have some small, tiny differences in the North and the South, but I think collectively we're trying to do the same thing. And I just enjoy being a part of it, I'm part of all of it. So wherever I'm best used, just let me know. I enjoy doing the things that's more focused around that stuff that I just spoke about. So that's up my alley. Thank you. I think is that good? What I shared?
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank
That's very
you.
good. And thanks for your support and help. You did a good job.
How do I go after that? No, I think for me, I know we have a lot already on our plate. The priority is to make sure we kind of deliver on especially our grants. But if I had to narrow it down for the activities for this year and next year, is definitely getting a handle on our active district registry and creating that data and really we can do that by having our outreach events that are scheduled in the initiative, but a lot of marketing and sector really putting as much information as we can out there for the farmers and landowners. So I think that's really key. In terms of programs, I really am enjoying the soil quality, the soil health program that we started, and kind of just continue on with that. The feral swine is another initiative that we should really, I think, pursue and stand up. I mean, we've been talking about it. We've been working on it. We have to present on it at the NBCD annual meeting. So that to me is one of the really big projects that I hope to foresee the board. I'd be happy to help in those efforts. A lot of education and education. Yeah, active district registry. Another one is also building our conservation technical assistance program. I feel like we need to grow our family because let's face it, although we're great, Jed, Rita, me, we need more help. And if we really want to provide a service to our members, then we need to get more staff on and grow the technical capacity to at least provide assistance to our members on where they can get assistance, really grow conservation. Yeah,
Maybe there should be like a conservation club and then we can recruit those people.
Conservation plan. Oh.
Conservation club or pull from G3 and where we like both.
Did you guys receive the email from CIS and Sea Grant? They're offering, what are they called? They're creating a conservation group training and will be providing us hires for the next year. We have to decide if we want to be participants of it to receive those hires as part of yeah, they're working on it.
Yeah,
I will
there's
forward you the
training,
email.
Those people that are trained, they can use them.
Okay, so we're good. So it's
Yes.
already 6:30 on the dot.
All right.
So what are we gonna?
I think dinner at 6:30 or
6:30, but I can go over there and just have them move it a little bit.
okay, I think we just have a couple more items that we just need to get through, that we'll just kind of go through. I know we're not gonna accomplish it right now, but now let's
Yeah.
assign some homework. For this. So, Chairman.
Okay, so, well, one of the things we're looking at is for the district to get together, some, like the treasurers, get together and come up with the budget thing and then present it to the various boards, so that by February it gets approved, in terms of it, so who's your treasurer? Okay, so they can meet, Martin can meet with Katrina and whomever is part of the finance committee. Yeah, so she'll be back on the 8th, January 8th.
I was just gonna have my board send me there to meet.
Oh. And then I actually do that and then come back with all these different things.
Well, I would say you guys, your board, come and discuss it first. Amongst you and we would likewise, and then when they come, the board, the committee, there's something to work.
So we've already actually discussed this on our, what we needed to do and provide it there. And we have an actual listing that what you have here of what we would like to do for fiscal year 2024 and 2025. Now, the budget that we're talking about is for 2025. And so it's similar to what we did with 2024. And so we want to be able to take that and work with the South, say, okay, these are things that we can do jointly in that. And so if it's amenable to you, the treasurers can meet and I'll just bring it up to Katrina to meet with Mark on in terms of doing that.
So we're pretty much done on our side.
Yeah, we're pretty much done with it. It's just a duplicate of what we want to do. Okay, so that's good. We'll move on to the next one, which is the Guam Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts.
Okay, so status.
Okay, real quick, we're not an NGO. We're an NGO, but for profit. We're not yet. You have to apply. This is it right here. Yeah, for a tax exemption to become an NGO. It's $275 to become an NGO, they designate you as 501, whatever status, they actually give you that status, but you have to apply for it. It takes between 3 to 6 months to get the actual thing if you are a 501. Now, also, we submitted, remember our previous last meeting with our oversight chair, we provided a bill in terms of amending our law that adds a section for for us to do an association, and we were using Hawaii's law and adding that wording in and providing it also. So the senator Jess Starbeloff and Nikki Fernandez, which is the chief of staff there, they actually have it. I was trying to find out what's the status of it, and I called them today to find out. I spoke with Nikki, and she doesn't know what the status is, and she was trying to check with Jess, and then there's a guy named Evan that also is there, but Evan's the one handling it. And so that's where we're at in relative to the Guam Association of Conservation District. There is money, by the way, in the account, and we still have existing board members that are a part of it. And I want to let you aware, I already spoke to the a friend of the Attorney General's office. They made it clear that the University of Guam contracts out their attorneys, and they're authorized by the Attorney General to go ahead and contract out private attorneys to work for things. So according to him, when they're talking about something advising UOG, they're advising UOG, not necessarily the district. They'll look at whatever they're gonna look at, but where you need to make the request for is always at the Attorney General, because they're the chief legal officer for the government. They're the one that will make they've allowed UOG or autonomous agencies to hire private attorneys, and those private attorneys work directly for those entities, not necessarily for us. So when you guys met with Tony Camacho, he's directly representing. He's a private attorney contracted out by UOG to represent UOG. If we need to make a request to the Attorney General, we need to go to the Attorney General to see if we need your advice on this, and then you provide it in writing. And they actually provided me a format to, this is what the background, and then what exactly are we asking for.
Should we call a GAC meeting? And go into a
Well, the board members are still, who are the board members that were there, that were voted in, because the officers are still active or supposed to be active in that thing, because you need to use the funding that are, I think, how much funding is in there?
There is a technical assistance.
Yeah, right. So, I mean.
But I have a question about this one. So we're not a duly registered nonprofit, so technically we are for profit. So
So we have to file.
1120.
Yeah,
We have to do an 1120 from the time the inception of GACD. And then once we get this designation, that's when we file the
1190. Yeah,
yes.
1190.
So my question is, should we be should the districts just be working on this collectively and not necessarily having an official GAC?
No, we can still have an official GAC, and we still need to work with the end state. What we're looking at is to shore that up with a legislation that amends our law that authorizes the association. So there's no anyone not coming in and saying, hey, you can't do this.
So GACD is not authorized at the moment?
No. You can have an association. The concern that they had was, can the board members be members of the association? Really, that's really what the end state is.
There's no question about having an association, but it's who the directors.
If the director's gonna participate in that, and remember that there's a constitution and a bylaws that are already developed for that. The thing that's missing out of it is the nonprofit status. Once we get the nonprofit status, how you set it up is up to you. And And all you have to amend is you amend the bylaws to meet whatever the requirements are of who you want to be members of it. And it actually authorizes the association, I mean, the districts to be members of it. But it also allows other people to become a part of it.
Yeah.
Now, I think one of the things, the restrictions it has is the officers have to be, it says that officers, I think, have to be members of the district, which that's where the problem, the conflict comes in. And we just have to, we
That's what
have
I'm
to fix
saying,
that.
that's the sticky.
Yeah.
There.
So we just have to fix it, that's it. But we could still have the association.
Well, the legislature has to allow us to be a part. It's not GACD bylaw or whatever thing that it's the district boards policies on
Okay, so-
being a part of it.
So the Department of Moral Affairs has something called Museum Foundation. The law, the law for the Department of Moral Affairs dealing with the museum authorizes the board of trustees to engage in other activities that will
Yeah.
allow whatever it is. And if you look at our law actually authorizes that. Because even the Department of Moral Affairs law doesn't say create a foundation. But the foundation existed before the museum came in, but what happened was the board made a resolution saying, we're gonna form this, and that sole purpose of that museum foundation is has to be directly support what is it, the museum in terms of direct support. So the board, some of the board members on the board of trustees have to be board members on the foundation. And so that's why they're there. Now, somebody's saying that you cannot be in there. Now, you've got to look at foundations, look at the UOG foundation. The board of regents are not necessarily there, but the people that are in the university are actually a part of that foundation. And they have an office there, and in terms of the University of Guam Foundation.
So maybe they have specific language that allows that.
No, they don't. Look at the University of Guam's law, it's very general.
But for us, if I may, interject, and this is, and, this was due to, legal recommendation by the VA legal office. And then, of course, we had the late John Pinto and we had Sister Cabot. So for the veterans projects, which services the Western Pacific region, so we have the team for which I am one of the four co-founders. So that is the business side. So anyone who are veteran business owners and affiliates, we can have some, they are there. And then we were, we were told that to fundraise, to receive donation, we have to have the nonprofit arm. But I cannot be part of the board of trustees for the foundation. I have to, it's either I'm here or I'm on this side. So I cannot, although I'm the executive director of the foundation, but I'm not one of the board of trustees, so I can operate, the foundation. Otherwise, if I am an officer of both, which in this case, we are all board of directors and the officers are also, our board of directors. That was one of the questions.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
that's what
it's
I'm
a direct.
So we just have to amend.
But I don't know, you're not a government board, right?
No, we're not.
Yeah, see, so we are government board.
Yeah.
So we have to follow the laws regarding.
Yeah, so the difference is the Department of Moral Affairs Board of Trustees, they require when they authorize the foundation to exist. They one of the requirements they have is that certain board members have to be a part of the museum foundation.
Yeah.
To make sure that.
Okay, and I agree, that's
Yeah,
not,
but we need to amend
that's
our,
what I'm saying, we need to also have that authority or allow.
no, but no, they don't have that authority in their law.
But what about us? Do we have that?
No, it doesn't mention, but it's showed that if you read some of our laws, it talks about participating in associations. So it's not as an association, so we're associating with it so we just have to turn around and use that as saying that this is why this was created. There's a reason why they created it, even the previous boards. Because the previous boards allowed that to happen and gave money to that association, to GACD to exist.
Yeah.
Now, one of the recommendations that we had is, let's make sure it's in our law, so we submitted a
So
bill.
participating in a nonprofit, I don't think is a big issue. But being a board member of that nonprofit is the problem.
So what I'm recommending is that we amend the bylaws of GACD that allow not only the board members to be there, but because it requires the officers to be board members.
Yes.
The districts,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't allow that. We should allow outside bodies to become a part of the association who wants to participate. in the
So what
association.
we can ask, okay, so because in our boards, the chair is not necessarily the one directing the action, how to execute or spend our monies, right? It requires board action.
The board.
It's a board.
Yeah.
So then I think we can go around that by having the chairs from the north and the south be part of the board members for the nonprofit side. That is okay. It's not necessarily a conflict because you guys do not direct how the monies are spent. It's a board action. You can do it.
Yeah, so we just have to amend our
So you-
bylaws
You
that will allow that to happen.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
maybe perhaps set up a committee.
Yes.
Will be this,
Yeah.
research it, because I just feel like you're
Okay,
still.
Okay, so-
going.
yeah.
Sorry, I know I missed a lot. We're okay for 7 PM. Other than that, I know I missed a lot. But I did ask a question when we went to Lake Tahoe from one of the California Association Conservation District. I asked one of the members how they created or how their board was made up of. And it's usually because, the counties are separate, they all have their own conservation districts, right? But each county has a representative into their own California main association conservation district. So kind of the same of GACD having one north and one south. And then I understand the amendment.
But they don't have the law that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bans-
that's why I said I missed a lot.
Okay.
Just sharing,
So-
just sharing.
Set up a committee in the north and south appoint an individual, and then we'll provide you the information of who's appointed, and then we can meet.
Yeah.
With the there, and then decide how they want to. And then they can follow up, I'll provide a copy of the bill that was submitted into the draft bill. And see where we're at in terms of that draft bill from Jesse or from Senator Harris's office. Okay, next up,
In the meantime, what are we doing with the tax filing?
we need to still proceed
No,
with this.
not the nonprofit, but
Oh.
120.
Yeah,
How have we done our tax?
no, we
filing?
haven't, or the association hasn't
Defer
done
that to the committee.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
But you're right, we need to.
Yeah.
What's next?
Okay, next, NACD Guam representatives, so Caleb Griffin, our Pacific Region rep, sent out an email asking for us to update who is going to be representing Guam. Usually there's a primary, who I think currently is Director Katrina. And then there's also an alternate who is currently Director Glenn Kai. So is this something that should still stand? I know that you can't really make a decision right now, just because, we need some sort of forum, for the board to at least agree. Fair.
Joe.
Yeah.
Because I have a question about that before. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let that marinate and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, and we've been yeah, you know what, this all go. Well, how about you, Joe?
So then you have to stay because you just got back.
I know, I went to use the restroom first and then I went there. I think they're. Hi, Director Glenn, we're taking like a 5-minute break. That pillow is like
Right?
really
I'm telling
tight. I
you.
can't look at it.
Every time I look at it, it gives me a headache.
I recommend that Glenn become the representative, NACD representative.
I second that, but no one's here.
No, no.
You don't want to see,
The representative for what?
NACD.
Huh?
The main representative for NACD Guam.
for next year.
For
Oh,
next-
no. Oh, no, that's negative. That's negative. That's a negative. Come on, guys. Come on, man.
If we, Glenn, we vote you in, you have no choice.
Hey, you're an NG.
Wow. Wow. All
You
right.
can't
Hey,
not
by the way,
stay.
hey guys, remember I was gonna say on that last one, but I was busy. That's what we were actually all in the middle of doing that, amending those bylaws for the GACD. Remember, we were all trying to like give input and change this and that to make it fit and work with the.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it just got stuck me with where we were at with the whole send it to the senator and all that. But I think we were already on that together as North and South.
Yes.
All right, man. We'll get it. We'll get it. All right, guys. Still on. Sorry, I'm not there, man. I had to attend to the school garden and a couple other issues, but yeah, I'm still with you guys all the way through, man. I'm serious.
Good lunch. And soon to be dinner.
Right on. Okay, but we're on break right now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Oh my God, tomorrow I'm writing grants galore.
When we were going to this one at a time, then we wait for you. And then we're all like, wait a minute, we need to do that all over run. This is Joseph's back.
Oh, hello. Hey, guys.
We're here, we're here.
Hey, by the way, is the presentation that I made available? Because I missed the beginning part of the training.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. That way I can read over it and make sure if I could either learn it or if I have any questions, I know who to ask here. So thank you. I did make it on the part where I started chiming in at. So I just missed whatever was prior before that.
Yes.
Did you see your itinerary?
Oh, good. Thank you. I was talking to Miriam during one of our breaks.
Yeah.
So did she email it over to?
I think I forwarded that an hour ago. I don't know. She,
Okay, there it is. Yes.
so the target was a 9.
Yes, with you.
Yes.
Right? I told her.
And you're okay to go to Fano or should I ask you?
Oh, on the way to?
Yeah.
I don't, cause you're going to Miami.
Yeah, I'm going to Fano. But
Okay.
I was gonna. We go all over the hill.
No, she said it's all the same.
Okay, so.
And I even asked her, I said, I thought Erica asked to go to Japan too. And you're going,
You're leaving
The ninth.
No,
And go through.
I'm going to Japan.
yeah.
I'm
Because
going,
Girl, I don't want to someone taking our luggage and dragging it all the way to United. Ugh, that was a pain last time. So see if she can change that, but yeah, everything else, she has all my things open now.
I'm going to Honolulu. Maybe when the night.
Want to eat ramen?
Oh, yeah? So coming back, she has me, on the way back, she has me going to Japan.
Just the sushi bar is better, I like to keep that, oh my gosh.
Okay, shall we?
4 minutes.
Yeah.
One more.
Okay. Okay. So, I'm saying earlier, Taylor Griffin, our Pacific Region rep with NACD, requested an updated contact info on who would be the primary and alternate representative for the upcoming meeting. Currently, I think the primary representative for Guam is Director Katrina Reyes, and then the alternate is Director Glenn Kai, who, by the way, was accepted into the Next Generation Leadership Institute, so
Congratulations.
from Guam. So the question is that still the representative that we are going forward with for this upcoming meeting? I know that right now, the Northern District isn't as right now represented to speak, so, but, you know, the discussion is there for the board.
I thought those representatives still stay here until we meet and then we vote again, right? There's a vote that's going to occur. And so that's where we can turn around and say, let's vote for who's gonna represent, you know, the Pacific region. And we can do that. We can select.
That, the only question I have is Katrina's status.
I know, that's what I know.
So okay, according to her, she's still gonna remain as a. So she's still there, but I don't know why she actually texted me that she'll be on this meeting, but make sure we set her the thing and she's not, and so that's a.
Well,
My concern was that when I saw, and I joined the Zoom, and to me, I know he's done a lot for the community and whatnot. And I wouldn't take my head off of that, and I would thank her a lot for the review. But I think right now she just needs some time for herself. So when I should leave the meeting, I felt that it was not an accurate representation. So I think for now, maybe she's okay to remain on the board. Because, you know, she has to mourn her husband and her mom. You know, that was the.
But so,
Yeah.
you know, I would think, you know, because I don't know which status, you guys are more closely and you're still not sure. But this is what I'm thinking, is, you know, Glenn's the alternate.
Yeah.
Let him cover until such time that we get to this point, you know. If she wants to go, I don't know, that's up to you guys about paying her way to the Sunday. I don't know. That's your guys' business right here, Northern Board. But I think he's been more focused on what's happening within the NACD and the local district stuff. I think it would be a better representation than if we just left it to.
well, okay, so what I'm saying is that, on what we're doing is that the current members are only, that's, Katrina and Glenn. I mean, we'll push that on to the February meeting, and on the February meeting, what we're seeing on this over here is who are we gonna nominate as the representative, if we're gonna nominate them.
So going forward, but right now we'll just stick with that.
Yes,
Which is, but you know, like I said, you know.
we understand that, again, Katrina and Glenn can, you know, they'll tag team each other, or Glenn can be the one, because that alternate.
No, that's correct.
But for the upcoming February meeting, when they start voting for officers, who will be the one for fiscal year 2024 to 5?
Yes.
Yeah, who is Guam going to still be on the board? And what are who's
Well,
going to
that's
be the one?
no, we would still have a seat at that table. As part of the board of directors, every state and territory has that seat. So the question is, who from Guam? We're the one who's gonna vote, not them, not in the states. Who's gonna sit?
Yeah, and that's what we're saying is that,
But we're not gonna do it there.
are we gonna nominate somebody from here that will, so we know when we go into February, this is who.
That's what I'm saying, you know.
Because we're not gonna do Katrina anymore.
Well, sitting with, like you said, we're status quo, so. Katrina is out, then Glenn is that's the alternate, so let him cover it. And when we decide when we're gonna sit down and do a vote for GACD, then that's when we'll make the changes.
And what we also need to consider on our board is that during our January board meeting, that's when we decided what we feel Teddy's position, correct? That still has to go through the governor's proclamation. That's gonna take a while, so.
Actually, I already set it up. They're already aware of it. They're just waiting for us to need to send that recommendation from the board to her so that they can process it. And Stephanie Flores is waiting for that information, so all we need to do is do that, and then they can.
Okay,
input that.
you know, I get that part, but
Yeah.
it's not really relevant to what we're gonna.
Correct, and so who, the thing is, the representatives, we already know who the representatives are now. But for when we come up to February, I mean, not February, but the NACD meeting.
Which is February.
Which is February, who are we nominating as to represent Guam, because it's a Guam representation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's still the alternate.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna say Katrina is out, he's the only he's the one who steps in on it.
Why don't we be temporary on it, you know? Because you are in tune with everything that's happening with the law. So why don't you take that seat? Okay, you're
No, I'm saying that Katrina, whoever is not, Katrina's still there unless she turns around and says, I quit, I'm sorry, I resigned from the position. And then we can ask that the Glenn be the one to fill that while Katrina's out and until we get to the election thing. But when we go there, who we're gonna nominate as the representative to sit in one of those.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, we know, but the problem is, Katrina is not, Director Katrina is not here right now. This is our joint meeting, although we can't take any recommendation. So for me, I agree that Glenn steps up to represent us because he
That's
is.
his role as
Yeah,
an alternate.
Yeah, because he is in tune with the NACD mappings, and then also, then we can.
Then when we
Yeah.
decide it
Yeah,
later and then going forward, that we will
Yeah.
notify
Yeah.
NACD who is our leadership
Yeah.
going forward.
yeah,
Yeah.
right,
So I'm still, because I'm an executive director, right? I'm still part of that board, actually. Then I was told that, yeah, you're still there, even though you're an executive, so I have to be actually. I gotta read that bylaws again, but it says so that to be an executive director, you have to be. With it.
Still,
Yeah.
a region. So, when are we gonna decide who's gonna who will represent for the February, because they're gonna vote again for the new officers. Correct?
No, that's NACD officers, not Guam.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Pacific region.
Yeah. Well, Pacific region, it's not whether it's the whole Pacific who's gonna vote on who's gonna be the next chair and the vice chair of that.
Yes, happens annually.
Yeah,
The vote happens annually.
so
What I'm
it
saying is
depends
that-
who steps into that role, but they have to be part of the board of directors.
of the local district.
No. At the NACD,
No, when we nominate, when we go, they're going to say.
Hey, if I may chime in,
Yes.
Hi, Glenn.
I'm thinking Chair in the North is talking, I could be wrong, but I think he's talking about two separate things. There's the Pacific region.
Yeah.
And the Pacific region has a chair, and I believe Katrina is the vice chair. So
Yeah.
based on if they're gonna replace and vote for a new chair, that's just for the Pacific region only. And then on the other side, who represents each state and territory, there's one rep for each state and territory. And so whoever our leadership is for Guam, which is ours is the GACD, I believe whoever is the president and vice president will be that's for the regular board. So like all 50 states and all territories, that would be and so that'd be Katrina. And if Katrina isn't there for whatever reason, the alternate would be me. And so we give those names based on that. So as so long as our GACD stays what it is, then that's when we submit those names based on what. So if our GACD changes every year, then we would be submitting names every year. If we do it every 3 years or whatever, and I think that's one of the things we're working on. I think Mr. Chair of the North is also kind of thinking about the Pacific region. The Pacific region has a chair, which is Terry Prieg, right? Terry Rigsby Prieg. And then the vice chair is Katrina. And so that's in the event she's not able to run the meeting, Katrina runs that. And so I guess that's probably the two different spots that's probably, if they're going to be voting for a new chair for Pacific region, that would be what I think Mike, Chair of the South, Mike Duggan is mentioning, is that the entire everybody that's part of that Pacific region, like Alaska, California, and all those people that show up, Guam, CNMI, they vote on who is going to be the chair and or the vice chair, and then they would accept on that only in the Pacific region. But for the entire NACD, that's who the leadership of Guam would be, which is president and vice president. The only reason why Mike Hogan is not on for has to be because he was double whammy. He was the chair and also got elected to the executive board, which went up. So since he went up, now they needed to have somebody rep for the 50 states and territories. Who's going to be Guam, and that happened to be Katrina because she was the vice of GACD. And then if she's not going to be there, then I was deemed the alternate if she's not there because Mike Hogan definitely won't be the one to be voting in terms of those meetings because he's going to be up at the top at the executive. So I don't know if that was probably what the confusion was. I'm just trying my best to clarify if that sounded right.
Good. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So that's why, I mean, it's that board of directors is an individual from each state and territory. And who goes there from your state or territory is, the territory or the state to decide to sit there. But then when you're talking about the officers of the board of directors, that's different, the chair and the vice chair. That's the different thing altogether. Yeah.
Okay, so in this case then, so we are deciding, because then you should be, representing the North, because you're the chair.
It's not representing North, it's representing Guam.
Okay.
Wrong. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, you just said it, Joe. Status quo. So status quo is Katrina and Glenn. But if Katrina is not
Okay,
available,
when we get to the meeting with the Pacific region, who are we gonna nominate? Somebody, Glenn or Katrina can vote on terms of it because they're existing board members.
whoever,
So they can nominate,
either Glenn or Katrina.
yeah, they can nominate, somebody
Yeah.
from Guam to say, I want them for this particular position. What I'm saying is that at this meeting, we need to either decide who will be the one to fill in.
We're
that
going
spot.
forward.
Right, going forward. That's what
Okay,
I'm
so-
talking about. Going forward only.
So, just be advised that could be one candidate out of all the other states and territories.
Right,
So
right.
it's not like it's just us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we understand that. I'm saying that for the Pacific region, are we going to nominate, are we gonna have Katrina nominate somebody that will represent, where the Guam is in that Pacific region board to represent Guam, but also be part of that Pacific region board?
Yeah.
And so that's what.
Maybe we can decide that later.
Status quo.
Yeah, status quo, and then we'll decide that maybe.
Because I thought that decision was made that when we conduct our GACD meetings like the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we did not the joint meeting.
Yeah, but.
No, but but what Joe's talking about is electing officers for the Pacific region.
Right.
Yeah, that's a different now, so we're separate.
Oh.
So that, we'll see. We'll see who shows and who's
Okay,
ready
so
to
we are
step.
March 5th.
That would kind of depend on the GACD status, right? Of who's going to remain
Yeah.
officers.
Yeah, but the issue is that.
Up and-
So we don't want to touch that right now.
Yeah, so that should be on the committee's
Anything else, Erica?
table.
That's it, status quo, unless anybody has any.
What are we doing for our GACD meeting, so we can elect all the officers?
Next meeting.
We'll have to,
Sorry, we covered so much that smoke is coming out of my ears.
We did
so what are we doing now? What's that?
When's the next meeting?
the next meeting. Are we supposed to?
No, this is the annual joint meeting.
Yes,
Yeah,
when's
that's
the
not
next
the agenda.
annual meeting?
Huh?
When's the next annual meeting?
No, we have
Oh,
one.
that's far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Let's
can
go-
decide.
Let's say,
At least-
next year. Before the crazy
Yeah,
Thanksgiving
usually the audit
holidays.
is
Yes,
November.
Yeah. And it's, yeah,
November?
yeah.
Okay, tentative November.
Could be, but
With specific date
Can
to be
can-
determined later.
Why not October? Or
The fiscal year.
September
Or
would be
even
good.
September,
September's end of fiscal year.
because we
that's why.
started setting the dates in September.
Yeah.
can-
Our problem when we have a joint meeting, one of the requirements is to come up with a budget. an Operating budget.
And that's why November is
Ooh.
good. We should get through
Yeah.
February, right? That's a good.
But but see that's for 2026.
Yeah.
And so we have to have a budget ready for 2026.
Right,
By February.
yeah,
Because 2025 already is done.
yes.
The budget year will come in and we
That's
have
fine.
to submit our budget for 2025.
Okay,
Okay,
so what month?
November,
Yes.
Okay, November.
So what's the plan next?
Oh, yeah.
Are we
We're gonna
going-
go back.
Going to-
What we
Can they
need.
come back here for a white elephant?
Yeah.
We have this area until 10 p.m.
Okay,
Do you want
So are we able to,
dinner?
She's leaving.
Gotta have dinner, right? Hello, it's paid for.
Yeah, we're paying.
have
for
a drink?
at least come and have a drink.
Can I
Or
pick mine up?
dessert, oh, okay.
Let's go eat.
We didn't adjourn.
Do we have to?
adjourn.
Right, Joe?
Well,
Adjourn the
A
meeting.
motion to
can't
adjourn.
adjourn the meeting because of the, you guys have. to
There's no
adjourn because
voting.
it's not- So we.
So
can't
motion to
adjourn.
adjourn, somebody just give me that, we'll just say
I
that.
motion to adjourn
Okay.
our.
Without any objection, it's accepted.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's terrible.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you too. So, is it okay if are we done? I can chime off. I'm not gonna be able to join you guys for dinner.
Yes, you're good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for providing the link and even voicing for me. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Folders, the thumb drive.
I'm waiting for you guys at the restaurant.
Okay. Bye, Glenn. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Thank you too. Bye bye.
Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, we were-
Okay.